Well, you're certainly seeing a lot of transfer portal scouts essentially being hired. Florida just added one. We have Ohio State has a guy like a former NFL scout specifically there to just sit there all season and essentially evaluate every player that could possibly enter the portal, and then they have grades on them. So as soon as they enter, they have essentially a take or a not take written down and see if they can go after the transfer. So we're seeing some of that. Um, in terms of like strategy of roster construction, I like to think of there's quite a few different transfer portal strategies. One day we're gonna have to write an article labeling all of these, but you have your Alabama, your Ohio State, your Georgia, your contender that's gonna add one or two pieces to plug any holes that they might have, even though it's kind of laughable that an Alabama might have a hole, you know what I mean? Like compared to the rest of us. There are the choosy Power Five as well. That's kind of how to consider that group. There's the desperate Power Five, I think is a good way to put it. So the coaches that might lose their job here in 6 months that really need to make an immediate impact, you're going to see them take 10 to 12 guys to try to fix immediate roster holes. I don't want to say Scott Frost is desperate, but I think Nebraska is an excellent example of that. This offseason, you have the group of five team that really loads up at home. Your Dallas, your Florida, those programs, your Houstons that are getting a lot of players that are dropping from the Power Five that are heading there to go back to someplace closer to home. And they're getting levels of talent they never would before. There are a lot of different little examples of this, but I think right now you're seeing a lot of schools choose transfers over. I think this is the key differentiator. You're seeing transfers over borderline high school recruits in a way we've never seen before. So a guy you were taking a flyer on late in the cycle because you like some of his traits, that guy is not ending up on the Power Five or the Group of Five as frequently as he used to see. And that's what creates that 500 player gap that we talked about last year. I don't know what the number is going to be this year at the end of the cycle. But that's why we're seeing so few high school players entering or finding spots. It's because there's always going to be a transfer out there that fits your need and is a more of a guarantee than you would see from the high school prospect.
It also makes me wonder if some of these schools are no longer going to recruit the high school level for floor, right? Because you feel like you can go out and achieve a decent floor player, a contributor, be a potential starter or somebody who you're confident can play as a reserve. And if I'm running high school recruiting now for a program, especially like a good P5 program, I'm only thinking upside. If the kid doesn't work out, okay, we'll get somebody else in the portal. But if your ceiling is only like a starter, but not like a really, really good starter, I'm probably going to pass. I just want to shoot the moon on all these because I feel like there's no real downside to go into the portal to get depth.